Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of the Utopia podcast. I am Chris, and alongside me is Tommy. Tommy, how are you?
Doing pretty good tonight.
This week we have quite a bit of news to get to. First off, we'll get to the quick hitters. This week, the toughest place to play in the country in NCAA basketball to 10 was announced. Fan voting is complete, and the number one school is North Carolina. No surprise there, huh, Tommy?
Not at all.
Also, the Madden 10 site is live. Not a whole lot there now. They're showing some of the possible candidates for the cover athlete position. Recently, they have Adrian Peterson, Ed Reed highlighted, and there'll be more added each week. Also, we know this week's NCAA football blog coming up. It will be Online Dynasty. That'll be April 9th. So make sure you check out the official NCAA Football 10 website on that day for more information, as well as the Inside EA Sports blog. And also, if you're wondering who the cover athletes will be for NCAA Football 10, well, as of today, April 3rd, we are 16 days away, and it'll be aired during ESPN's College Football Live. This week on the Inside EA Sports blog, Russell Canary again continues more gameplay information. He this week disclosed player lock and defensive assist. First, player lock. There's also a great video on the site that shows this off if you're not really sure what it is. Tommy, explain player lock.
We actually got our hands on this down in Orlando during our trip, and it's actually pretty neat. I'd never considered anything like this myself, but once I actually got to use it, it was pretty neat. Basically, as player lock, on both offense and defense, you can choose to control a specific player. You choose him pre-snap, and then you control that same player through the entire play that happened. Now, the kicker is, though, that not only are you locked onto that player, but you also have a specific camera associated to that player. So, like if you're a middle linebacker, you'll have a view that's just behind the middle linebacker instead of the typical gameplay camera where it's behind the quarterback. It's pretty neat because not only do you get a different point of view, but then you can also just kind of focus on what your guy's supposed to do, not worry about anybody else. The computer will just take over for the rest of those players for you. It's also pretty neat because on the offensive side of the ball, if you want to be the receiver, then you can player lock onto the receiver and run the route for him. So it's kind of almost like a take on Campus Legend, but it allows you to play real games as that same camera view.
Yeah, this was something that I believe tied into one of the earlier blogs from Greg Hedleston, where he talked about the new dynamic gameplay and presentation updates to the cameras. And I think this was the feature they were talking about, where they said that this allowed them to do something new and different to bring a new feature over. Player lock, like you said, something I hadn't really thought of. I think a lot of people hadn't really thought of it. But once I saw it at the Community Day, it is pretty cool to see it from that point of view. It's not the same old standard gameplay view. If you're on the defensive side, the camera's behind the defenders. You only really see what that guy would say. I'm not saying that you're in the helmet, but you do see a little less of the field. You see kind of more what the player would focus on. And like we said, there's a video showcasing this. If you don't quite understand it, I know sometimes words don't really help explain these features, but luckily EA Sports has put out a video showing this new player lock feature. And the second part of the blog from Russ Canary talks about a new feature called defensive assist. This is one that on the forums early on, a little bit of controversy. People are a little hot and cold about it. But Tommy, first off, let's break down what is defensive assist.
Basically, how this works is let's say you're on defense and you're controlling a particular player. Let's start, for example, back to that middle linebacker. If you move your guy into a certain position by yourself and then realize you've got your guy completely out of position, you can press and hold the X button on PS3 or the A button on on Xbox 360. As long as you hold that button, the computer artificial intelligence will take over for you. Now, it's not going to give you some huge bonus to where your player is all of a sudden, the greatest player to ever play that position. Basically, it'll play the same way as if the computer were controlling him the whole time. It works pretty nice because let's say you take your linebacker and you personally read as a run play. Well, obviously, if you're going to charge up to the line of scrimmage and it turns out to be a pass, then you're going to be out of position. But if you just press and hold X, then he'll drop back into his normal spot where he should be. It's going to help. Not only is it going to help the everyday user, but it's going to really help the players that are almost, I guess, kind of scared to jump in and do user-controlled defense.
Yeah, this is a feature that Russ breaks it down as something they wanted to do to help players on defense. That way they'll move to the correct position at any time. And his example is if maybe you're not really sure where your corner should be when playing zone, you hold down the A button on 360, the X on the PS3, and they'll move to the correct assignment on the field. It's something that I think we really won't know the formal ramifications until we play the game in July. But I think it has a very good intent. Like you said, this is something that for maybe if somebody forgets their assignment, moves them out of position, they can let the computer take over to help over on defense. I don't think this is a bad feature at all. That I think people will, they'll probably use it more than they think, but yet at the same time, I don't think every player will be using this full bore in NCAA Football 10.
I'm actually once I got my hands on it, I enjoyed tinkering with it whenever I was conscious about using it, but I'm actually one of these guys that likes to control a defensive back, and I'm always trying to hit X to do the defensive SWAT. Obviously, with the customized controls, I can flip those around, so I'm not sure how much I'll end up using this just because I'm used to pressing that X button for SWAT. But, it'd be something we just have to get used to once the game's actually available in our hands.
Yeah, Russ also clarifies in here. He says that this feature will help you swat down a pass, but it will not try to go for the interception or attempt to hit stick tackle. And as he says, this feature of defensive assist is just an assist, that it will not be there to make all the plays for you. It's simply an assist to get you in the right position. And it will help swat passes, but not make the INTs or hit stick tackles.
And it's actually kind of already in 09 and previous versions. If you just simply do not touch the controller at all, the computer will play the entire play for you. It's only once you move the controller around or press a button or something like that that you take over. It's basically the same thing as if you were to move your player around and then switch to another guy. That player will automatically go back to where the computer thinks he needs to be.
So, in your opinion, and I think this is right, and I'll let you give your opinion on this. This is kind of for the guys who. And there were always a lot of complaints about this, especially in big games when people play, that they go to switch to a defender, and maybe it selects the wrong one, and they move someone out of position. That now if it actually moves someone, or they didn't mean to move them, they can quickly hold down the X button or the A button, and it'll move them back, just in case they actually maybe had selected the wrong person. It's something to help with that, possibly.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of different aspects that it can come into play for. That's definitely one of them, though.
Well, that wraps up this week's show. Player lock, defensive assist are coming to NCAA Football 10. Throughout the course of our video podcast, we'll have the video playing so you can see the new player lock in action. But before we end the show, Tommy, as of today, April 3rd, how many days are we away from the release of NCAA Football 10?
Getting closer every day. We're nearing 100 days, but as of today, we are 102 days remaining. Lots of time to find out lots of information.
Don't forget, this Thursday, the blog topic for NCAA Football 10 will be Online Dynasty, the first look at it. Who knows how detailed they'll get, but I'm really anxious to see, and for everyone else to see, what they've done to Online Dynasty. For Tommy, this is Chris. Make sure to check us out at ncaaStrategies.com. This has been the Utopia Podcast.